Joy is definitely coming indeed 35 minutes after 10 p.m. Central Africa time. And I say this because we're about to learn how to make money. So if you're thinking, Shayla, what do you mean on Talk Thursdays? We focus on trends. And one such a trend is the opportunities supposedly, allegedly, apparently availed to us through social media. Okay. And so today, we're going to be looking at the reality that as social media rapidly transforms from a space of connection into a marketplace of opportunity, the question that very many are asking still remains: can digital platforms truly become viable pathways to income and investment? We are joined by Moxima Gama, a seasoned financial markets technical analyst with over 13 years of experience navigating both independent and institutional trading environments. Now, recognized by the Financial Mail as one of South Africa's top 3 technical analysts. Listen, tonight we are rolling with individuals who know what they're talking about, okay? One thing about 2 things. Moxima is about to not only give us the realities or the opportunity to learn about social media as a place of investment, potentially so, but also we're going to be looking at some of the markets that Moxima has dealt in. And so let me, without any further ado, welcome our guest this evening. Moxima, thank you so much for joining us. Welcome to African Diaries.
Thank you so much. I'm so sorry. For some reason, when the interview started, the electricity just went off. So I'm not trying to create any romantic mood here, but it's just unfortunate it happened at a time when I was going to do the interview. So apologies.
I am here for it, ma'am. You might not be trying, but I am loving it. I'm absolutely loving it. Let's just start off with unwinding 13 years of experience. And this, of course, is with the financial markets. Now, when you say technical analyst, a lot of people could be like, yeah, Shayla, I hear that. But what is a financial markets technical analyst?
I was just thinking about it. It's actually more than 13 years. I'm probably approaching 20 now without giving off my age too much.
Come on.
And it's because I really started in the market at a very tender age. It was straight after varsity. So that's why I had so many years. Just let me explain technical analysis simply. So it's the study of investor sentiment or psychology. And it's the study of their sentiment towards financial instruments, whether it's equities, currencies, or commodities. And those are then driven, and their decisions are driven by fundamentals. And when I talk about fundamentals, I talk about the economy, or if you're looking at companies, it would be, equities, rather, you'd be looking at company news or financials. But over time, we're kind of seeing a decoupling from that sometimes, oftentimes actually, where that investor sentiment is now driven by supply and demand, irrespective of what the economy is doing or what companies are doing. So we study that sentiment and predict where the financial market is going to go in the next 5 minutes, 15 minutes, hour, day, weekly to long-term, monthly. And how we do that is because we believe that history repeats itself in a form of psychological levels, trends, or patterns. And from that, and if you are an analyst like me within Pearl's models, we then use that financial information to give us triggers when certain conditions are met in the market. So that's about what technical analysis is studying the sentiment, which is depicted on the chart, by the way. So investors can either be very optimistic or pessimistic, and we're then able to tell when that is happening and where the future of the financial instrument that we're looking at.
Sure. You just got me so excited. You got me so excited. You have no idea. Let's talk about investor sentiments. Do we see an investor sentiment towards social media at this current stage?
At this point, it is if you're talking about it as an institution, as in a company that is listed, there is, as you may have seen, all of the AI or technology stocks, Nasdaq, they've really been doing well on the basis of social media from that, because it is gaining a lot of traction. But in terms of it being used personally is just by people who are giving information on social media. But as a share, it is gaining a lot of traction, as you may have heard in the news from at least for the past 10 years.
Yeah. And for somebody
Yeah.
who is perhaps looking at the context of social media, because a lot of information comes in ever so rapidly. I mean, you're watching like 10 videos in a minute about how to make money on social media. And at some point you're like, can I pull from this instrument with ease? Can I actually see myself making this a lucrative pursuit? And so I want to address that question. Is it possible? Is it tangible? And with your counsel, what would be the best route?
So I'm trying to establish what you mean by social media. Is it advice given by social media or making money from social media?
So essentially making money from social media. A lot of people have been punting, let's make money from social media. Perhaps mine is to give you a backdrop. The backdrop is if you switch on your Instagram right now, there are 20 people telling you about courses on how you can make money. However,
Right. Okay.
it doesn't feel tangible, and so we're looking at all forms. Like, do we need to invest in Instagram as opposed to making content? That's what we're trying to answer. The question is, how do I make this a lucrative place for Shayla?
So, as I say, it's probably in order. So I believe, I mean, I do more very near term, like currency analysis, but also equity analysis. And as I said, with the only way I could see money being made on social media, if you're talking about education, we are inundated with a lot of people who are giving education in the market, and sometimes there's also a lot of miseducation in there. But I mean, in social media rather. So that is a channel of reaching people, firstly, on how to make money, because I have to be honest with you. Once you get into stock market, once you start knowing the knowledge of stock market, it's a very interesting type of consciousness that you then realize there is a lot of money that can be made, whether you are in the social media or you're investing in a social media instrument. There's money to be made in any way. It's how you reach people to be able to make it.
Absolutely love that. The voice there of Moxima Gama joining us this evening, a seasoned financial markets technical analyst with nearly 20 years experience in the game. And so ours is to pull and extract as much information from her this evening. If you want to send through your questions, please do find us on WhatsApp, +278 3288 6684. It is 44 minutes after 10 p.m. Central Africa time. We are still in conversation with seasoned financial markets technical analyst, that is Moxima Gama, joining us this evening. Moxima, we sort of ended off with a statement you made that got me thinking, which was once you start delving into the context of stock markets as a whole, you realize that there's money to be made. So perhaps let's set the mindset right. Yeah, so that we're not blown away by that one video that makes us go, oh, yes, if I just do 1, 2, 3, I'm on it, And so,
yeah, and I need to be careful with actually just saying that, because in order to make it, there's a lot more that you need to accomplish in terms of knowing how to trade. It is a very risky type of market to trade in, but years in the market, as well as a lot of repetitive trading, does reap the rewards. You see the rewards in the market in that way. So I just don't want to get people to think that that's only like leave your job and go to the market. No. There's more to that.
Absolutely. So through platforms like your Money Hub platform, what are some of the fundamentals that you use to gear people's headspace?
I'm really passionate about people having to build their own portfolios. So thankfully, and at least from the early 2000s, and that's how I think that is, or really late 90s, 2000s, is when we were able to actually just trade for ourselves. Because in most cases, you would have a portfolio manager do that for you. You put your money in an RA. But now we have a whole lot of platforms in which you can buy your own shares or trade the currencies or future CFDs. So we're in that position where we can start investing for ourselves, thereby removing a middleman, right? Which also then means you can get in and out of the market. You have the freedom to do that. And if you have that freedom, I think it's something worth investigating or being curious about, because particularly when you're investing in equities, you get really good compound interest from that, and something that you won't be able to get from a bank. So it is worth taking a look at that. And that's what my platform, or what I like teaching people, how to identify a good time to be entering the market and exiting the market. Because I think a lot of people are oblivious about that. And it's such a lucrative way of saving, and as I said, compound interest. It's just interest over interest, as well as you get dividends. So it's if you don't educate yourself on that, I think you do a great unjust to yourself.
Let's talk about education, right?
Yeah.
A lot of us have made youtube.com our lecturer, and we
And
spend,
TikTok.
and oh my days, don't get me started.
TikTok University.
Yes. Yes. And so, what would you say is the right way to educate, to school yourself on stock markets, on just gauging markets holistically, even if it's that of social media?
I am. It's always prudent to just. Yeah, I know, because there's so much information in the market that it could be really daunting for someone. And where do they start, right? And um, social media has a lot of, they because of the amount of time that you could make a video, it could be very informative, and they really do have good content. And if you try and follow a lot of people that do that type of very valuable content, I think you should stick to it and probably follow, or start initiating, having your own, starting building your own portfolio. I mean, we've got platforms like Easy Equity, and some banks do help you in buying your own shares, or currencies, or in the market. So it's finding people that you can relate to in social media, because there's so many people that are giving out the information. So one that makes you understand better. And also finding people, there are analysts like me that offer courses to assist with that, because over the years, you know how to simplify things for people without giving them too much information, but giving them the most important information that they could work on with when they invest.
Now, with that being said, I mean, we said that fundamentally you are in the business of interpreting investor sentiments, right? We've
Yeah.
seen that online, and I suppose online in all contexts, has heavily shifted the way you interpret these investor sentiments. Talk to us about that.
So, okay. I think the most simplest thing, and this sounds really, there's only really three types of sentiments in the market, right? It's up, down, and sideways. Like there's nothing really, there's no untoward other direction that is in the market, but it's the ability to then know what would be next after a certain move. And I don't know if I'm answering your question quite right. I think I'm a bit frazzled with the whole electricity thing.
Yeah.
Can you just repeat that answer again? I mean, that question again.
Sure thing. So, developing, or rather, being able to gauge investor sentiments has amplified
Right.
through the advent of technology and online presence, and so essentially, for those who are looking to step into this industry, they're saying, Shayla, listen, I've always wanted to be able to dabble in stock markets, and what is this thing called interpreting, and are there tools that I can use to interpret investor sentiment? Are there ways online that I can sort of gauge to see where someone's sentiment is tilting towards?
So yes, there are a lot of indicators and tools that are, and right now we have AI, right, that kind of assists with that. But it's because there's lack of accountability features using AI. I always think it's you yourself should know, or should be more curious about learning just at least the most simple things on how to read market sentiment. Like I said, there's only really three directions, but in that they tell a story so that you know where the share is going to go in the future. It's you can start off with a very one-on-one course on this, which and in terms of just investing. But if you're a trader, you would get more into into it with a more advanced type of technical analysis, and that they always are indicators that will tell you, but you need to also read through the indicators in order to know, else you kind of trading or investing blindly.
Okay. And then lastly, Moxima, I'm going to put you on the spot, right?
Oh my goodness.
It's going to be fun. Don't worry. It's up your alley. It's what you do. Right. I want us to look
Okay.
at, and the reason I keep on going back to social media, because it's such a hot buzzword now. Right. But I do think that it doesn't necessarily speak to everyone. So a 35-year-old who's currently working, who doesn't feel like they want to be making videos about what it is they do, is still trying to find a lucrative way to milk the social media bandwagon. And so I'm going to put social media in your lap and say, please help us gauge the trends that we're seeing right now, right? You said that you are capacitated or you're capable, or this is your force field, which is to gauge investor sentiment. What are we seeing? What should we be on the lookout for? This is essentially an update by Moxima Gama.
Oh my goodness. So, I mean, the market's very cyclical in the way it is. And yes, as you said, it is the social media is the buzzword at this point. And that's exactly what drives sentiment, right? Is the fact that everyone is talking about it, which is then creating the demand for that. So at this point, I do see, I don't see a peak in social media at this point because it is a relatively new type of platform as compared to other sectors in the market that have been there. But there is, what I do know is every cycle reaches a peak. And when that peak happens, then there's something else that replaces it. And I don't see social media yet getting to that peak, but what I am seeing is an infiltration of AI in social media that may lead to social media getting to a peak. So that's why you're seeing a lot of the AI technology shares doing exceptionally well in the market, though they did pull back quite significantly about 2 weeks ago. But it's the new buzzword when it's in vogue and everyone is getting into it. That's what drives the share prices or whatever prices of that upwards because of that. So I would still I'm still optimistic on that, and I think sentiment is still quite on a high with social media.
I do think we are losing Moxima on the line this evening. I am going to, you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to ask our producer to get Moxima to send us a voice note to just bring through that point. For those who are thinking to make money on social media, I wanted us to take a different angle. Perhaps yours is not to make content. You're saying, Shayla, I don't have the energy to make content. I don't want to post about this cute little spot that I was dining at. I don't want to talk about me and my partner. I don't want to give advice. I don't want to give counsel. It's not me. Maybe that's your story. I'm hoping that that Moxima can send through that voice note highlighting what is necessary, of course, concerning this market and what's happening within the market. I understand that Moxima is back with us. What I am still going to do is ask her to send through the voice note. Moxima, I'm going to ask you to send through a voice note to our producer. But however, we must thank you for your time. Thank you so much for joining us this evening. This has been an absolute pleasure. And I cannot wait to speak to you again.
Yes, anytime, let me know.
Awesome sources. That is the voice of seasoned financial markets technical analyst with over, well, just about 20 years worth of experience navigating both independent and institutional trading environments. Recognized by Financial Mail as one of South Africa's top 3 technical analysts. Okay, top 3, 1, 2, 3. I think we need a break.